Did you know only 10 teams can compete in one of the fastest motorsports in the world? That's Formula One racing. And only one of these teams' owners has two different teams in the same format. But the craziest fact about this is they don't even sell cars like the others. They are known for the most popular energy drink. Yeah, you guessed it right, it's Red Bull. But would you believe if we tell you that even before starting as a company, they had planned to take on the world of Formula One? "36 years ago, April of 1985, long before anyone knows what Red Bull is, the first full season for Austrian driver Gerhard Berger with Arrow's BMW. Even in those days, getting a spot in the F1 circuit was a long shot, so he's struggling to stay in the lineup with his teammate Thierry when he meets Dietrich Mateschitz, a corporate manager of Unilever. Gerhard explained his first encounter with Dietrich this way, quote, "I was standing in the paddock when the big guy came up to me, introduced himself, and said he had an idea for a great new product that I would be the perfect figurehead for. He didn't have a company set up yet. He didn't have any money either. So I'd have to make an advanced payment if I could. There was something about him." End quote. And what do you know? 2 years later, Red Bull was born. Another couple of years and the journey of the $2.50 drink began in the fast lanes of Formula One. In fact, this was the first major product placement of Red Bull when Gerhard's photo was published holding the iconic silver-blue can. Undoubtedly, Dietrich Mateschitz, the co-founder of Red Bull, saw this coming before no one did. In school days, he resided in Spielberg in Austria, near the Alps, where Formula One races are held on a regular basis. He was a sports lover and a skilled pilot even before he owned Red Bull, probably some home track influence of Jochen Rindt, the Austrian legend of Formula One racing in the 60s. Fast forward to the late 80s, the Austrian beverage market has a brand new category of canned drink, made in Thailand, imported under the name Red Bull. Meanwhile, F1 was going through a dramatic period. Michael Schumacher zooming through tracks, tires screeching, pit crews hustling with tools, the audience in the gallery going nuts over the liveries. And most importantly, the BBC was broadcasting all of it live. If you didn't know earlier, until the 80s, Formula One used to be recorded and premiered on television. But in 1979, BBC got the exclusive rights to broadcast the Grand Prix in the UK with Murray Walker's commentary. It was also the time when digital television was introduced in the market. For the European viewers, this experience was quite the premium because Formula One constantly shifted from here to there each year, just like any other international tournament. So, fans had to move as well for a live show. As time passed, the craze just kept rising. Ultimately, BBC was broadcasting most of the race live around the 1990s. Around this time, Red Bull made a deal with Gerhard Berger. For Dietrich, a struggling startup owner with no prior investment in racing business, it was a pretty ambitious move. He could only offer 10 grand to Gerhard, which was still a lot less than the average salary of a Formula One driver. On top of that, Dietrich came from a background of energy drinks and fast-moving goods. It wasn't quite fitting for the pulsating world of F1. Thanks to the brilliant business strategies of the Red Bull marketing team, Red Bull grew to be the leader in the energy drink business. Sports events, custom-themed Mini Coopers, student marketers, club collaboration, and literally trash cans were used for marketing purposes. They left almost no stone unturned. But originally, Red Bull believed in indirect marketing rather than the traditional approach, and F1 had a big part in it. The very first time the Red Bulls were seen on an F1 racing car was in 1995, when they sponsored the Swiss Sauber F1 team. With Red Bull's sponsorship, the team entered the competition as Stewart Grand Prix. Around the same time, the Red Bull brand was expanding with the European region like the UK, Italy, Hungary, Germany, and nearby countries. Naturally, the inclusion added to the presence among the locals. In fact, Stewart GP had won the 1999 Grand Prix for the first time. That was some race. The whole circuit could feel the rush, the tension in the tracks, and everything. Tension followed in team management as well. Red Bull has suggested a driver change for the team, which was overthrown by the team principal Sauber. Disappointed, Red Bull backed out from their part of the deal, but they didn't back out on their dream. As we said earlier, Dietrich was a visionary and knew what he wanted. This is where things get interesting. Seeing the team's success, Ford came along and bought the right of Stewart GP. They rebranded it as Jaguar Racing, but couldn't keep the performance streak as it used to be. Instead, incurred losses every season, both points and money. Some say Ford vision didn't go along with Formula One. Some say team managing issues. In reality, their strategy didn't really work so well, but Ford knew about the potential of Jaguar Racing. It's just they weren't willing to bear the financial burden for too long. So, Jaguar Racing was off to sail with the condition of consecutive investments of $300 million for the next 3 years. Only a few companies had that much money to invest in an underperforming team. Furthermore, a 3-year commitment cut down the potential buyers list. In the end, it turned out to be only $1 for the rights of the ownership. Now, returning to Red Bull, Dietrich had bigger plans and wanted to own an F1 team after what happened in Stewart Racing. Plus, having your own team means more control over decisions and a permanent destination for Red Bull's junior driver program. Yes, as always, they planned ahead of this already, right after Stewart GP moved on to Ford. So, Red Bull cashed in on Ford's offer. Now, Stewart's team, Jaguar Racing, rebranded again and became Red Bull Racing. He timed it almost perfectly because Red Bull cans were flying off the shelves in more than 50 countries by this time. Their worldwide sales were somewhere around 600 million to 1 billion. This time, Dietrich called some of the best names in the industry to his team. Christian Horner, Adrian Newey, Mark Webber, and Helmut Marko joined the Red Bull team. All of them had a significant contribution to the forthcoming success of RBR. But Dr. Marko, advisor of RBR, perhaps played the most crucial role of them all, a man who will create the pipeline for upcoming Red Bull drivers. With his suggestion, Red Bull had acquired the Italian Minardi GP, which was later rebranded as the Scuderia Toro Rosso, the junior team of Red Bull. The sole purpose of this team was to search for promising Formula One drivers and groom them. They offered funding and support for young drivers who wanted to excel in their careers. An American spin-off of this idea was named the Red Bull Driver Search program that produced famous drivers like Scott Speed. This team also ran the International Formula 3000, sponsored by the Red Bull and Helmut Marko. Funding a junior team is less expensive and offers a versatile lineup. This decision gave RBR enough room to experiment for future plans and development. At the same time, revved up their brand exposure with the second set of cars. Later on, RB closed the driver search program officially, but kept the team as a sister team with the main one. Toro Rosso will be mentioned quite a few times in this video, including why it was renamed to AlphaTauri. But for now, let's go back to our main topic, RBR. Everyone was yearning to see if the sinking Jaguar Racing could get back up with the new combination orchestrated by Red Bull. In its maiden year, the newly formed team decided to go with the standard Cosworth engine Jaguar Racing used to have. And what do you know? Compared to Jaguar's previous performance, their first year came out pretty good. The new team amassed more points than Jaguar could manage in 2003 and 4 together. That too with a completely new team. It was also the year when the very first edition of the famous Red Bulletin sports magazine, featuring RBR's amazing performance, was printed on-site at the Monaco Grand Prix. Actually, it was the first time for a lot of things. First, Christian Horner debuted as team principal, becoming the youngest ever Formula One team leader. First time for Scott Speed, winner of RB Driver Search program, to drive for Red Bull in Canada and US Grand Prix. This was crucial for the company and the team, because Red Bull had just started expanding their operations in the US, and gaining market popularity can be quite hard there. Therefore, having an association with the local culture benefited the growth of RB. Such achievements in the very first year made a good addition to their portfolio, but at the same time, drew some green eyes. Other car manufacturers were wide-eyed to see Red Bull excelling in their debut year. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? Where century-old automobile company Ford couldn't even do it, Red Bull, an energy drink manufacturer, did it. However, this strategy could only be successful for the first year, as Red Bull did not have any automobile expertise or resources unlike the other key players of the tracks. They had to improvise with performance. So, next year, Red Bull brought in Adrian Newey from McLaren and installed Ferrari engines instead of Cosworths. But due to Formula 1 rules, Ferrari and Red Bull both were bound to use the same specified V8 engines. This decision falls under the not-so-wise decisions of RBR. Why? Firstly, Ferrari is a direct competitor to RBR in Formula 1, so using their engines meant trading valuable technical information to Ferrari. Secondly, the engines had severe cooling problems. And when you're racing 300 km per hour, you wouldn't want your engine to die or worse, explode. The solution is change the engine, of course. But it wasn't easy because they had a contract lasting till 2007. So RB played this smartly, and the deal was reassigned to the junior team Toro Rosso. RBR switched to Renault engines. For quite a long time, Renault was the main engine supplier for Red Bull Racing, including the golden age of RBR. But nothing lasts forever. Red Bull confronted severe power issues with Renault engines. Team principal Christian Horner even stated it as, quote, unacceptable. The issue became a question of reliability for RB to retain their contract with Renault. However, Red Bull continued to use Renault-made engines designed by TAG Heuer until 2018. Though, in the Monaco Grand Prix, Red Bull driver Ricciardo won through a critical engine issue that caused him to lose power in the middle of the race. Since then, Red Bull relied on Honda-made engines encouraged by its performance in sister team Toro Rosso. But not for long. In the history of RBR, Red Bull spent a crazy amount of money on the development of racing technology, and their biggest investment till date is the new power division. This will make Red Bull the only other team after Ferrari to have both engine and chassis manufactured and assembled under one roof. Though the exact amount wasn't revealed, just to give you an idea of how much they spend normally, take a look at this. Back in 2004, when Red Bull first purchased Jaguar Racing, about $400 million was invested in the new Red Bull racing team for the next 3 years. For a company that sells energy drinks, it's indeed a big investment, and every year, this amount defied the last. Just so you know, in 2018, Red Bull spent £304.2 million in total for RBR costs. When you add the other promotional costs, media distribution both online and traditional, external expenditure, the total sum makes up about £350 million. That's near 1/3 of RB's total marketing budget. Well, don't be shocked. Red Bull didn't put so much money for a show, you know. They invest such a high volume of cash in F1 not just for exposure and promotions for its energy drink. Rather, they want to promote a culture through F1 that appeals to their primary target audience, the youth. About 433 million people watch Formula 1 racing worldwide, and the majority of them are young people. Thanks to social media like Facebook and YouTube, this number is increasing by the minute. Having a favorable impression among these fans is crucial for a brand that aligns itself with extreme outdoor sports. Moreover, they were the first non-automotive company to ever own a Formula 1 team. They are also the first team to sign the Concord Agreement. Due to this, Red Bull receives an extra $35 million from Formula 1 each season. No, they didn't sign it for the money, but to secure their position in the Formula 1 circuit for the long term. I guess going in first has a charm for Red Bull, don't you think? Plus, they received the Constructor Championship bonus for consecutive wins in 2010, 11, 12, and 13. They also bagged 5 Drivers' Championships, 4 of those between 2010 to 2013, and the last one in 2021, for which you definitely gotta give credit to 2 guys, Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. Both of them emerged from the same roots, their sister team of RBR, Toro Rosso. Not only the tracks, but the brand also dominated the market. In these 4 years, Red Bull expanded to 160 countries, selling more than 5 billion cans a year. At the time, Red Bull held 43% of the global market share and achieved a 35% increase in net profits year over year. The racing journey has been a costly yet productive investment for the visionary owner Dietrich Mateschitz. the brand could expand to several other industries to facilitate their Formula exposure, including a race technology company, a media house, a dedicated magazine, the fashion industry, and more. It allows them to diversify their offerings to the common fan base of the sports, like rebranding Toro Rosso to AlphaTauri, following the Red Bull-owned fashion brand of the same name. On the other hand, Red Bull continues to have better control over its racing section by means of vertical integration. Gradually, Red Bull has grown to be a universal brand from the unpopular Thai energy drink it used to be. Now, as a company, Red Bull has successfully integrated itself with sports. But is that all? Or does it plan to go all the way, if you know what I mean? Their advanced technologies arm already collaborated with Aston Martin on the Valkyrie hypercar. Moreover, their recent biggest investment was on the engine development program. Are they planning to release their own sports car or something? Or more? Do comment your thoughts below. And if you liked our video, please hit the like button. See you next time.